Is there a reason why the election board wasn't interviewed, or why there was no conversations with the 3 election board members during your research?
There was no specific reason for that. It really, as we were going through the process and looking at the process itself and information, it's something that as we were going through it, looking at the specific processes and the challenges, we were getting the information on that. It's a good thought.
Okay. Because I could have provided input. If you look at the situation from a historical standpoint, it appears that it's a buildup of high turnover at the highest position within the department. Director Green, I believe, was the longest tenure in the department as director, I believe 2.5 years. And I believe we went through 4 directors in 4 years. That right there is alarming and indicates that can have a trickle-down effect upon the staff as far as the leadership qualities that are necessary for the department to function smoothly. Then in this case, the 2016 general election, weeks before this big high-volume, historic turnout election, the top 2 directors left their positions. That alone would create chaos within a department, let alone weeks before a big election. And I was vocal about this. I mentioned that an individual was given a job as the administrator of the department, Mr. McCurrick, who I know we get along well. To his credit, he was thrown into an environment that was, like I said, chaotic, and he had a mess to clean up. However, I was very disappointed that he may not have had the best background for that position. If you look at his history, he was the New Jersey Democrat State Committee field director, the Pennsylvania Democrat Party field organizer, to Shapiro Richards from Montgomery County, commissioner field director. There's a history of political positions, which is fine, but that's not the type of credentials we should be seeking when we hire individuals in a department that should be totally nonpartisan. Prior to being the administrator, he worked in assets and infrastructure as a project manager, I believe handling parking matters, which again, there's not really a Democrat and Republican way to handle project management and assets and infrastructure. However, in voter services, that's a department that should be nonpartisan. And we had a lot of calls, as we all know, we reviewed that, from the residents of Montgomery County who had the same concerns I had. And when we hire political operatives, the chaos that we saw with the absentee ballots in Montgomery County exemplify the reason why government-run programs are perceived so negatively. This was an example of that. And everyone knew we were having this election on November 8th, 2016. I'm glad you pointed out that we can do a better job at training the part-time workers well in advance. So we know when elections are coming up, so that's definitely something we can do better at. The voters did what they had to do. They did what they had to do by sending in their absentee ballot request forms, but it was the county's job to get the ballot back to them in a reasonable time. So there's certainly room for improvement. I know the position of Director of Voter Services has been advertised to the public to fill the vacancy. I hope that all the board members of the election board are involved in that decision-making process when deciding on who gets hired. I certainly hope I don't find out less than 24 hours before the salary board meeting who that individual will be. I hope I'm involved in the interview process. I hope Judge Austin, Chair Arkush,
It won't be Judge Austin.
okay, or Commissioner Lawrence, that we're all involved in that interview process, that we all have our input heard, and that whoever that individual is that's hired as Director of Voter Services has no partisan political operative background, because that's obvious that that's put us in the wrong direction. So they're my comments. I wish to shed a little more light on the historic trend of the department. I think that's important to point out. But I thank you for your presentation.
Okay. And then I do want to be clear to make sure Commissioner Gale understands that although Mr. Mascura did go down to Voter Services at some point in the fall, he was not the director of Voter Services. A different individual, Ms. Sisler, went down there to actually be the director of Voter Services.
Given a job as the administrator of the department, I'd like to point out, I refer to that position as the administrator, not the director. So I was under that understanding. And I'm not claiming that there was political actions taking place within the Voter Services Department. I'm simply pointing out that this is exactly the kind of behavior that causes the public to lose faith in the electoral system. And in the election of 2016, several members of the public lost faith in the electoral system here in Montgomery County, mainly due to the fact that they weren't receiving their absentee ballots. I'm not claiming that there was political actions being done, but I can see why the public would lose faith due to the fact that there was partisan political operatives being hired in the Voter Services Department. So I'd like to clarify that for the record.
I can open up now for any general public comment. Hearing none, then, we will adjourn the meeting. And I guess, do we have an announcement of when the next formal election board meeting will be?
March 16th.
March 16th. So just to announce that then there will be a regular Board of the Election meeting on March the 16th, 2017. And with that, we will adjourn.
While we have these folks here, can I just ask one question?
Absolutely,
to
yep.
see if their research addressed it. And my question is,